we're going to go ahead and get started. So, welcome to open enrollment for 2018, electing 2019 benefits. This is an exciting day for me, and I'm going to tell you why. We are open enrolling into our first new employee self-service for the first time. And I will tell you, I was white-knuckling it right up until the end to make sure that this thing was going to work. And I tested it last night, and everything looked beautiful. So you all should have gotten an email this morning that says open enrollment is live. You can now go in. So we are excited about that. All right, so let's get underway with what we're here to talk about. The 2000 open enrollment is new in the employee self-service. And it's going to take place in a new way this year. And part of that is because of the way that our system is set up. So in previous years, you'd have your entire lineup of benefits in one enrollment. But this year, we've simplified things, and we've said the pieces that are mandatory, meaning your medical, dental, vision, HSA, and FSA, you're going to open enroll in phase 1. That's required. You're going to go into that employee self-service and elect your benefits. The pieces that are optional, short-term disability, optional employee life, spouse life, and dependent care and paralife, things that you don't have to have, that's going to be in a secondary phase 2 enrollment. So you're actually going to get another open enrollment link on November 14th that says open enrollment is available again. And the reason that we did that is because those primary enrollments for your insurances, I don't need evidence of insurability. I don't need secondary paperwork like I do with those other enrollments. And those other enrollments, those optional short-term disability and life enrollments, the requirement for that paperwork holds back the enrollment from being able to be processed because we got to wait for those EOIs. And we said, you know what, let's not hold up the whole thing. We'll group the things together that can go through without needing paperwork, and then the things that do need additional paperwork that not everybody enrolls in, we'll group them separately. Keep it simple. All right, so from now until the 13th, you have to complete phase 1, and then from the 14th to the 26th, you can complete phase 2. There's some things that you can do to be prepared. Go ahead and register for a session like this, which you did. Because you did that and you attended, you are going to get a WIN credit. So if you didn't sign in on your way in, make sure that you sign in on your way out. That's how I know to get that information over to Beth to get your credit for attending the session. When you actually complete your enrollment, just like last year, you're going to get another WIN credit. So after you've completed your enrollment online, I'll have a record of that, and I'll send that over to Beth as well. And so you can get up to 2 wellness credits for participating in open enrollment this year. Make sure you check your dependents in employee self-service. Do this before you do your open enrollment. Make sure that everybody that you want to be a dependent on your plan is already entered into the system. Now, if you didn't make any changes, so if you didn't get married, you didn't get divorced, you didn't have a baby, or baby didn't turn 26, all of those dependents that you had in the system should already be there, but we encourage you to go in and double check. It is a brand new employee self-service system. We want to make sure that everything converted over properly. And then the last thing we want you to do is set aside time to go out and actually complete the enrollment. We're going to demo it in just a second here so you can see what it looks like so you can know what to expect when you go into the forms. The other thing that's new this year that we have the capability to do with our new system is for you to be able to enroll at home. There's a link to be able to connect to the employee self-service through just the internet. So it's a really nice feature for anybody that's maybe on a leave of absence or you're on vacation, you want to complete that while you're out of the office. You can do that right from home as long as you have internet access. All right, so let's take a look at what the form looks like. Now we're doing this in real time. In our very first employee self-service, I saved mine just for you. All right, so this should look familiar. You're going to click this top link, employee self-service. Log in with your credentials. Remember your password. Like I did not. But that's okay, I wrote it down. And in my defense, I have a lot of passwords I have to remember. All right. And we have a winner. This page should look familiar to you all, having gone in and done time cards. What you're going to be looking for is this benefits link here. Click on this drop down, and the very first link is going to be open enrollment elections. You're going to want to click on that. It does take a minute to load. Everything that's loading in the system is loading in real time, so it's a little bit slower than you might have expected, but don't worry. It's doing what it's supposed to be doing. I suspect that it might be a little bit slower because of the number of people going into the system right now. So while that's getting ready to load, there's a couple of other things that, oh, now it comes up. So I encourage you to go ahead and just maximize your screen so that you get a better visual of what it looks like here. When you get ready to complete your enrollments, you're going to go directly to this third tab over where it says to enter your election changes. When you click on this, what's going to load for you is your current year's elections. And that way you can see what you already have. So you can see here that in this example, we already have the family high deductible plan highlighted. That's because that's what I'm currently in right now. If I want to change that to anything else, I simply just click on one of these other radio buttons. So say next year I don't want to have my kids covered on my plan. Maybe they turned 26, maybe they got jobs and they've got coverage elsewhere, and I don't need to cover them anymore. I simply just click on one of the other radio buttons. The nice thing about this system is that as I select a different choice, it validates that choice as it goes along to make sure that I'm selecting something that I can have. And what happens is it's going to change the options in the fields that appear after this. So right now what the system is doing is saying, okay, Katie's elected spouse high deductible. On a spouse plan, she can only have her spouse covered and not her kids. So the system is looking at who's listed in this benefit recipients field here so that it can change what's available for me to select. It will preload with what's already available in the system. So now I'm going to go in here and click on this benefit recipients, and I'm going to associate who I can have with this plan. And you'll see that now the only person available for me to select is my spouse because I've picked a spouse plan. My kids aren't even there for me to select. That's the nice thing about this is that we've built all of the validation into the program on the front end. Because I've selected a high deductible plan, it's going to tell me what options I have available for the HSA. So previously, you had to know that if you picked a family plan on an HSA that you had to elect a family HSA enrollment. Well, here it's only going to give you that option. Conversely, if I had picked a single enrollment on the HSA plan, it would only give me a single HSA option. If I picked the $35 copay plan, it wouldn't give me an HSA option at all. It's not going to let you make a wrong choice. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and elect that family plan because I want that enrollment. And then it's going to ask me to put in how much do I want to contribute to my HSA. So we'll say I want $25. That $25 that I'm entering there is the cost per pay period that I want taken out of my check to be contributed to my HSA. Another nice feature that we've built in is because HSAs can be front-loaded. In other words, you have an annual maximum amount that you can contribute to your HSA. But did you know that you can contribute that all in the first part of the year? So what we allow you to do is you can elect the dollar amount that you want taken out of your check. So if you want to have it built up sooner, you can simply enter in a larger dollar amount. The nice thing about that is that we've built it so that the system isn't going to allow you to take more than the IRS limit would allow. So if you put in $1,000 in there, it's only going to take that $1,000 deductible until you hit your limit, and then you're done. It's not going to take anything more for the rest of the year. Okay? And you're going to go through the form and make your election changes. As I said, it's going to pre-fill everything that you already had from the previous year. If you don't want to change it, just leave the radio button selected as is. You are going to notice, though, that there's a couple of fields here where it says coverage to be decided. Here, we need you to make an affirmed election. You're either going to take the enrollment or you're going to decline it. You'll notice here on the FSA that's available to me is a limited. Because I enrolled in that HSA plan above, I can only have a limited scope FSA. That means I can only have an FSA that's available for vision and dental expenses. Now, if I don't want that additional coverage, I simply just click decline. All right, and then finally, the same thing with the dependent care. When you do select dependent care, it is going to require you to list a dependent that you're having covered by that plan. Now remember, the dependent care rule says you have to have a dependent that's 13 years of age or younger in order to have that plan, and that's what you're going to have to select. So if you have multiple children listed in the system, you're going to have to pick the children that you want to be covered by that FSA dependent care. All right, so we've gotten all the way through our form. Now I'm going to validate my elections. And what that's doing is it's doing a double check to make sure that you didn't miss any fields when you went through the form. And it says here, I've passed. Great. Now I just click OK. And then the next thing I'm going to do is scroll back up, and I'm going to click now on tab 5. And it's going to give me an opportunity to review what I've enrolled in. Now I want to call out two pieces for you. The first is that the costs that are displayed are the annual dollar amounts, assuming that you stay in that enrollment for the entire year. They're also the costs that reflect the 2019 premium with the 2018 contribution. Because remember, we haven't gotten all of our bargaining units settled yet, so we don't know what the actual county contribution is going to be for 2019. So we give you that kind of, this is where we're at today. If nothing changes, this is what will be a kind of worst case scenario. And then the other piece I want to call your attention to is that an election in the HSA or FSAs will not populate on this screen. It's a system issue right now that we're working out, but the enrollment is there. So you've gone through, it looks right, you're good to go. You'll click submit all of your elections. But if you get to this point and you're like, well, wait a minute, I don't know if I want that. You can wait and come back and submit it at a later date. Or you can go back to tab 3 and make changes. Once you hit this submit button and you get this message box here and click OK. Come on, there we go. You can no longer make any changes to your enrollments. So you want to be sure, and this is a change. In previous years, you could go back in and change your mind and enroll 10 times. In this system, you can't. Once you've made your elections and you've completed your enrollment, it actually updates our system, and that's your enrollment that's waiting for you, or all teed up for 2019, waiting for that payroll to hit. So you can't change your mind. Once it's done, it's done. Okay? So now it says your benefit elections have been successfully submitted, and you are officially done completing your open enrollment. Okay? All right. The reason we wanted to put that demonstration in here, and I appreciate your patience because I know it was a little bit slow, is that for folks that want to go back and get a video tutorial of that, it'll be available online too. All right, so we're going to jump into our actual presentation. All right, what do you need to know for 2019? We have the same plans that we offered last year. Good. The out-of-network urgent care will be covered the same as in-network on all of our plans. Preventative child health and prenatal services out-of-network will be covered under the out-of-network benefit. And services for autism will be covered out-of-network like other out-of-network services. On the $35 copay plan, we have a change to how the MRI and CT scans will be charged. This time they're going to be, after the deductible is met, you'll pay 10%. And durable medical equipment will be paid 10% after your deductible has been met. On the high deductible plan, we have a little bit of a change that some diabetic supplies will now be covered under the preventative formulary brand copay. And then the HSA contribution limits have increased for 2019. $3,500 for single coverage and $7,000 for family coverage. And remember, that does include the employer contribution. All right, at this time, I'm going to go through a couple of examples on the plan changes. The open access network, again, get the most choices of doctors and clinics. And the tiered network, you have the $35 Distinctions 2 copay plan is a tiered network. Brian will talk more about the tiers when he gets up to do the Health Partners presentation here. But As we had last year, we put in some examples of costs to help you make decisions in a more informed way. And so you'll see this chart here represents the monthly premiums and annual premiums. These are the costs that you pay for your insurance, whether you use it a little or a lot or not at all. But the other piece that we want you to consider when you're selecting your health care plan is not only what your annual cost will be in terms of just your premium, but you want to look at it in terms of the deductibles that are associated with your plans as well. And so here we've given you a demonstration of the best case, worst case. So your best case scenario means that you've paid only your premium, you've received all your preventative care because that's covered at 100% on all of our plans, you've had no additional out-of-pocket expenses. So when we look at that on the $35 copay plan based on current year's premiums and last year's contributions, you would be looking at paying $916. On the $900 open access plan, you'd be looking at paying $693. And on the HSA plan, you're going to be ahead by $942, and that's because the county is maintaining its HSA contributions for 2019, and so you'll get that $1,300 contribution for single coverage. When we look at our worst case, we're going to look at our premium costs and inclusive of the deductible. This is assuming that we have maxed out our plan for the year. So we've had a catastrophic medical year, we have maxed out our deductibles, we've reached our out-of-pocket max on the plan. So when we look at that, on the $35 copay plan, assuming that we've gotten all of our care in Tier 1, you're looking at an out-of-pocket expense of $3,216. On Tier 2, you're looking at an out-of-pocket expense of $5,116. On the Open Access $900 plan, you're looking at an out-of-pocket expense of $4,193. And on the Open Access 2700 HSA plan, you're looking at an out-of-pocket cost of $2,758. Here's where you're going to see just how big of a difference those differences in premiums and that HSA contribution make. Because you can see on the HSA plan that you've had that with that HSA contribution from the county that it dramatically lowers your out-of-pocket exposure for the year. So we have the same example here for family coverage. And I'm just going to go down to the worst case scenario line here. Again, on the $35 copay plan with family coverage, you're maxing out. Your worst case scenario on Tier 1 is $13,294. If you've gotten all your care in Tier 1, or Tier 2, you're at $17,094. On the Open Access 900, you're looking at $12,980. And on the Open Access HSA plan, you're looking at $10,066. Okay. But what does all that mean? That's a lot of numbers, and it's really hard for us to get our heads around that sometime because, in general, we don't max out our plans every year. We're using our care, but we're not hitting the annual max. So you've got a lot of different things going on. And so what we wanted to do is give you a simpler scenario that helps you understand how deductibles, premiums, and copays all work together to create out-of-pocket costs for you. And so in this example, we have a person that has single coverage. They take a medication every day. They get all their preventative care. They get the flu. They go to the doctor. They get medication for that flu. They fall off their bike, hurt their knee, need knee surgery, an MRI, and some physical therapy, right? So when we look at that, let's look at that in terms of cost. The first thing that I'm going to call attention to is the blue stars on this chart. The blue stars represent costs paid that have gone towards the deductible associated with that plan. So now let's go through. That monthly prescription that we're taking. On the $35 copay plan, I'm looking at about $240 out of pocket for the year. On the $900 plan, I'm looking at $180. On my HSA plan, I'm looking at $312, and that cost went to my deductible. You'll see that my preventative care was zero across the board because it's covered at 100% on all of my plans. Get your preventative care. Then you'll see my office visit cost. I went in for that flu visit. On the $35 copay plan, I've paid $35. On my open access plans, I've paid the cost of the clinic. That's $150 in this example. And that'll vary. And Brian will talk about how your clinic costs can vary in a future example. We got a prescription. We got our Tamiflu or whatever they prescribed us for our flu. On my $35 copay plan, I've paid $20. On the Open Access 900, I've paid $15. And on that HSA plan, I've paid $38. And again, you can see that those costs went to my deductible. All right, I had to have surgery. Fell off my bike, surgery right away. Well, on my $900 copay on my $35 copay plan, I have not paid anything towards my $900 deductible. So the very first thing I'm going to do is I have to pay that $900 deductible. Well, the cost of the surgery is $3,000. So the remaining balance of that $3,000, the insurance is going to cover at 90%, and then I'm going to pay the remaining 10% on that. So the total cost for the surgery on the $35 copay plan is $1,110. On the open access $900 plan, my office visit went towards my deductible. So I have $750 left of my deductible to pay. Then the insurance is going to kick in and cover the balance at 75%. I'm going to pay the remaining 25%. And so the cost for that surgery on this plan is going to be $1,312.50. On the HSA plan, everything that I've done already this year has counted towards my deductible, but I have a higher deductible to get to. So I still have $2,200 of my deductible to pay. The insurance is then going to kick in at 90%. I'm going to continue to pay the remaining 10%, and so the surgery on this plan is $2,280. Now I've got two things that have happened. I've met the deductible on all of my plans, right? So we're good to go there. But I still have further care needs for the year. I've got physical therapy that I have to go to. Well, on the $35 copay plan, it doesn't really matter that I've met my deductible in terms of those physical therapy sessions because they're looking at them like office visits. So I'm going to pay $35 for each of those sessions. Whereas on the open access plans, it does matter that I've met my deductible because here I'm only going to pay the co-insurance amount. So you can see that on the open access $900 plan, I'm paying $45 each for the sessions. And on the HSA plan, I'm paying $18 each for the session. All right, now I've got to have that MRI. I've had this surgery, I've had my physical therapy, my doctor just wants to do a double check and make sure that everything healed correctly. So I go in and I get my MRI done. On my $35 copay plan, now it matters that I've had that deductible covered because it's going to be covered, I'm going to pay the co-insurance amount here as well as the co-insurance amount on both the open access plans. So when we get down to the bottom line there, the total cost of services that I've paid for on each of these plans is listed below. So on the $35 copay plan, assuming I've gotten all of my care in Tier 1, I'm out $1,735 for all of the medical care that I've received. On the open access $900 plan, I'm out $2,227.50 for all of the care that I've received. And on the HSA plan, I'm out $3,008. At this point, you may be thinking, well, $3,008 is a lot more than the $1,700. I'm going to go to the $35 copay plan. But we can't stop there because we have to then go in and add in that premium that I have to pay because I have to pay that premium no matter what. So when we look at that, we're looking at our total cost for the year on the $35 copay plan at $2,651.20. On the open access plan, $900 plan, I'm looking at $2,920. And on the HSA plan, I'm looking at $2,066.44. And you'll see that it becomes the lower plan because of the lower premium and the HSA contribution from the county. So we want to look at our costs in totality when we're making healthcare decisions. All right. Same example here. The only variable that's changed is that we've received our care in Tier 2 instead of Tier 1 on the $35 copay plan. And so you can see that the cost is higher on that tier. Okay? All right. So that's great if you're the only person that's covered, but a lot of us have family coverage. And so we gave an example, same example here, we just added in more people on our plan. So in this plan, we've got a mom, a dad, and a child that are all on the plan. And they're all getting care, right? So you'll see that the first line stays the same, that annual preventative medication, that medication that I'm taking every day, my thyroid or my heart med or whatever I'm taking. Those costs stay the same. And then we have all of our preventative care. That still stays the same. We go in for our office visits. Well, here's where it starts to get a little bit different. So my $35 copay plan, I've gone in for 6 office visits at $150 each, right? Well, on my $35 copay plan, I've paid $35 for each of those visits. On my HSA plan and on my open access plan, I've paid the cost of the office visits, right? Because we know now that it's not a copay, we're paying the full cost of the visit. So you'll see in the example here, on the open access $900 plan, I've paid my $900 in office visits. On the HSA plan, we broke it out so you could see who went to the doctor. Mom has a $150 visit, dad has a $150 visit, and child went to the doctor several times, so they've got $600 in office visit charges. All right, we've got 4 prescriptions that we had assigned on this plan. in this scenario. So we've got $80 in copays on the $35 copay plan. We've got $60 on the open access $900 plan. And again, on the HSA plan, we broke it out by person. Mom had $38, dad had $38, and baby had $76 in prescriptions. We have that surgery that occurs now. Mom, dad, it doesn't matter who fell off their bike, they fell off their bike, they go in for that same surgery. So right now, everything's looking the same, right? At this point, nothing on the $35 copay plan has been charged to that deductible associated with that plan, so we're still looking at $1,110 in cost for that surgery. On the open access plan, we've had the office visits counted towards the deductible. Only one office visit got counted towards the deductible for the person that needed the surgery, so they still have $750 left of their deductible to pay. So the cost in this example still hasn't changed. It looks different in the HSA plan because everybody's costs have counted towards the deductible, and so I've got $2,512 in deductible left to be met. So the cost in the insurance, or to me, changes in this example, and so you'll see that the surgery on this example is $2,560.80. Again, now our deductibles have been met. We're going then down to the baby getting the tubes in their ears. I believe that's what the example is. And so we've got that outpatient surgery again. And so we've got a secondary surgery of $1,010 on the $35 copay plan, secondary surgery on the open access $900 plan at $725, and then on the HSA plan, we've got $1,527.68. So everything's counting towards the deductibles in different ways. So just pay attention to that because that's really a key difference in our plans. So we go in for the physical therapy sessions. That hasn't changed from our previous example. And the MRI has not changed from our previous example. So when we look down at the total cost of services, you're going to see that the numbers have changed dramatically because we've got different premiums in play and different costs on our plan. So on the $35 copay plan, assuming again all care was in Tier 1, you're looking at a total cost of $2,980. And on the open access $900 plan, it's $3,747.50. And on the HSA plan, you're looking at a total out-of-pocket for services for everybody on the plan that year as $5,680.48. And again, we're going to go back and add in those premium amounts and then take out the HSA contributions to get to your overall actual out-of-pocket expense in this example. When we look down at the $35 copay plan, your actual out-of-pocket expenses for everything that would have occurred in this example would be $11,674. On the open access $900 plan, you're looking at $9,727. And on the HSA plan, you're looking at $8,346. Again, the difference in premium and that HSA contribution makes a dramatic difference. I know this is a lot of numbers and it's a lot of information on the chart, so we will have this posted and available for you to review in more depth on your own time. Okay? All right, so a lot of times we like to give an example of kind of shifting the way that you think about things, because we have a lot of people that have been in the $35 copay for a long time. A lot of times we do things out of habit. I'm in this plan, it works for me, the plan isn't changing, I like where I'm at. But we wanted to give an example for you to say, what if you just considered switching to the HSA plan? Say it has the coverage and the care and the network and everything that you want to go into. What would it look like if you just paid the same in premium? You pay the same amount out of pocket every pay period that you're paying right now. But instead of paying it in premium to the $35 copay plan, you took the difference and you applied it to the HSA. And that's what this example shows here. So at the end of the day, instead of enrolling in the $35 single plan, you enroll in the HSA plan, and you have this additional HSA contribution potentially of $557.76. And all that is the difference in what the premiums are. So you're still spending the same amount of money out of pocket as you would on the $35 copay plan. You're just spending it in a different way. Instead of paying it to premiums that for healthcare you may or may not use, you're paying it to yourself in an HSA for care that you pay for when you use it, right? And then if you do that and you add it together with the HSA contribution that you get from the county at a single level, you're getting $1,857.76 into your HSA. So if you have a good health care year, all you've done is gone and got your preventative care. You have a huge cost savings in premiums, and then you have this money banked in your HSA that you don't lose. It rolls over from year to year, and it bears interest. So, and you can take it with you when you leave. It never goes away. It's always there. It's always available to you. More dramatically, if we look down on the family example, Taking the difference here, you end up with $4,328 to contribute to an HSA. When we add that together with your HSA contribution from the county, you're looking at $6,028 banked into your HSA account. That's a lot of money, a lot of money. So think about this. So in our previous example, we said that the family event would have been $5,680 out of pocket for all of those events that had occurred in our example before. Well, when we look at the total cost of the care being $8,346, well, if we had banked the difference in premiums and added in the HSA contribution from the county, we would have had excess funds remaining in the HSA to roll over for the next plan year, because we would have already banked enough to cover everything that happened, those surgeries, those office visits, all the prescriptions, the MRI, the physical therapy, all would have been covered, and we would have had leftover dollars in our HSA account. All right, now speaking of costs, I'm going to turn it over to Brian, and he's going to teach you ways on how to be a savvy healthcare consumer.
Good morning. My name is Brian Rudy. I'm from Health Partners, and if you've come to this meeting for the last 5 years, you'll probably recognize me. I've been around here ever since we switched to Health Partners. So today we're going to be going through a few things about your plans, how to choose the best plan design for you, how to find the best clinic for you, and then also we'll be talking about some additional resources, and especially a really new and fun one that's coming in January. First of all, I wanted to talk about the Plan For Me website. Last year was really our big rollout of this Plan For Me website. How many of us went out to the website last year? Does anyone remember doing this? Okay, good showing of hands. Plan For Me is there. It's set up for you as a Washington County employee to really help you navigate between the three different medical plan options you have here. So what it does is it talks to you about your personal situation and then shows you plan by plan, side by side, to see how much each one would cost. To use the website, you'll need the same information you had last year, again this year. First of all, if you open up, did everyone pick up these blue books that say open enrollment on the front? If you open up to page 7 of those books, and you can grab one after the meeting as well, you'll be able to see all this information that I have on the board. You'll need there's more underneath the table too, so we can grab some more after the meeting. If you open up to the middle of the book on page 7, you'll see these 3 pieces of information. First of all, your group number. Group number is 3271, and that's specific to you as a Washington County employee. Next, you'll need the site number. Site number is 0. And then finally, you'll need your effective date, which will be 1/1/2019. Once you enter that information into the website, it'll then ask you a number of questions about your situation, what kind of medications you take, are you expecting any procedures next year, any other things we should know about, and then we'll, like I said, show you side by side all 3 plan options based on how much it will cost you for your medical plan, how much your premiums will be, and how much your HSA contribution will be. So you can really make an informed decision about which plan is right for you. So I always encourage people to go out to the website and do those comparisons. So that's kind of a good way of looking at how the 3 different plan designs would work. But what about for clinics? You know, we all know that going to an ER may be a really expensive place. And an example of how much an ER visit typically costs is on the board. On average, this is even just for a sinus infection, $750. If it's a $750 bill, you must know as an employee here that there are a lot more cost-effective places to go than an ER. Not only cost-effective, but also time-effective, because if you go out into an ER with the sinus infection, you can be sitting there for 3 to 4 hours. On this map, you'll see that there are a number of different places and associated with how much they cost. Urgency centers or urgency room, you might be seeing some of those pop up. Those are a better alternative, but still pretty expensive. If you go all the way to the bottom of this slide, you'll see office visits, convenience care clinics, and also virtual.com. If you have a sinus infection or a bladder infection, pink eye, by far virtual will be the fastest and least expensive place to go. So just kind of think about that the next time you go and have care. How many of us out in the room today have a username and password to healthpartners.com? Look at the education we're doing. This is great. If you don't have one today, it's really easy to sign up. You'll see on the screen, there at the very bottom right-hand side of the screen, you'll see a link that says sign up. All you'll need is really your member ID, and you can sign up for the website. Because once you do go into the website, this is all tailored to you and your medical plan that you're on. If I were to think, okay, I know that generally an ER is going to be more expensive than an office visit, but what about I'm getting an MRI done? Where's the least expensive place I can have that done? Because I know the cost varies greatly between all the different providers out there. Can I do a search based on an MRI and how much it costs? Well, absolutely you can. If you click on the Find Care button at the top of this page, you'll be able to do a provider search based on what you want to be seeing and based on how much it would cost you. So for instance, I pulled up my personal Health Partners account and did a search for an MRI. When I did that, it went out and found all the providers in my area and said how much they would cost me on my medical plan. As you can see on this comparison, we had already reached our deductible for the year, and we were kind of in the co-insurance portion of our plan year. And the Smart Choice MRI in Woodbury was coming up for $84. That's how much I would pay for that service. If I go all the way to the bottom where it says Twin Cities Orthopedics, the same MRI would cost me $129. So that's really your money. So if you're interested in trying to do some of that comparison shopping, know that the website's available to you. If you're not very savvy on the website, also know that member services can help you do this comparison as well. So that's a nice feature that we've been talking about for a number of years, but we also rolled out a new feature during open enrollment last year that I want to make you aware of. It's the same basic idea of finding the best cost, but for prescription drugs. Has anyone heard of GoodRx? Seen them on the news? Maybe there's radio ads now too. What we did is we partnered with GoodRx to come and work with us on our website so that we could do the same search for prescription drugs and find the best cost for your prescription drugs based on our contracted rates and how much you would pay as a member of Health Partners. So if you go back to your member portal and click on the My Prescriptions right in the middle of that page, you'll be able to do a cost comparison based on your prescription drugs. So for instance, I went out to the website and looked for a statin drug. Again, based on my location in Woodbury. When I did that, it came back with all the prices of the different pharmacies in my area based on what I would pay. So for instance, the Health Partners mail order pharmacy was going to cost me $7. If I looked at the Line of Health in Woodbury, it was going to be $4.91. Cub Foods, $5.06. So this is a comparison to help you navigate the pharmacy system. And the really cool thing about this too is that not only can I find the best price, I can actually transfer my prescription to that pharmacy simply by clicking Fill Here. That automatically transfers your prescription to that pharmacy, and you don't have to call your old pharmacy to say, hey, I'm switching to CVS or I'm switching to Cub Foods or what have you. In fact, there are people that are on medications they take for, like, say, a heart condition that they have to fill every month. There are people that go out every month when they have maybe a day left of their prescription, find the best price and say, yep, fill here. And they move their prescription around.
Or the brand.
What's that?
Can you decide if you want generic or brand on that also?
It typically searches for the generic version if there's one available. Yeah, and in Minnesota, your pharmacy generally fills that unless you specifically ask.
Some drugs that allow them.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So what if you use the brand?
Yeah, sometimes they do that.
You find out the cost after they do that.
Sure, yeah. By law in Minnesota, they're supposed to be filling the generic if there's one available, but sometimes, of course, they don't have the supply or maybe another reason. So that's a tool that we've rolled out last open enrollment. We didn't make it widely known, so I just want to make sure everyone knows that this is a tool available. Yeah?
So I looked on the formulary already the other day to see if the drug I take is in the formulary. This year it is. However, what's the difference between being on the formulary either the copay or 10% coverage factor.
Yeah. So if you are on the HSA, the high deductible plan today, or maybe you're considering that for next year, there's a list of preventive medications that you can fill at just a simple copay without meeting your deductible. So there's a list of generic and brand medications. And if you go to the pharmacy website and you click on the preferred RX drug formulary, that's the one we have here at the county, you'll see a number of links when you go there. If you click on the preventive RX link, you'll come up with the entire list of all the preventive medications that you can take for a copay.
Okay, so if it's in formulary, it doesn't necessarily mean that it is a preventive drug.
No, absolutely not.
And preventive drugs will cost more as well towards the deductible?
No, they cost less because you're only paying the copay. It's before any deductible is met. So if I'm someone that just takes a medication for, say, high blood pressure, I can just pay the copay for that medication without ever hitting my deductible. Yeah, and you're right too, that's a good point too, is that when you just pay a copay, it doesn't add up to your deductible. Okay. All right, virtual.com. Another show of hands. How many of us have heard of virtual.com? Just heard of it. How about have we used it? Okay, fair amount of people. That's great. I think we're doing some decent education. This is great. The first year I came out, I don't think anyone raised their hand, so that's a good thing. Virtual.com will be another option for you again next year. So if you're on the $35 copay or the low deductible, that $900 deductible plan, there is no cost to use virtual.com to you. If you're on the high deductible plan, it's just $49. So. Oh, sure. It's also on the screen, but you'll see that there is no copay on the $35 distinctions plan or the low deductible plan. There's no copay for virtual.com. If you're on the high deductible plan, it costs $49. So virtual.com, as you may have already know, is a website that's run by health partners, and it's really there for those top 60 common conditions. So think of this as something you could use if you have a sinus infection or a bladder infection, pink eye. Instead of running to the ER or to your doctor's office, you can log on to virtual.com, and we ask a really simple question right off the bat. What do you think you have? If you think you have a sinus infection, you probably don't need a doctor to tell you you have a sinus infection. You know exactly what it looks like, what it feels like. By typing in, I have a sinus infection, we'll then ask you a number of questions about that. What does it feel like? What does it look like? And then all that information will be given to our nurses in Bloomington. They'll review it, and in about 20 minutes they'll say, yep, here's your treatment plan, and if you need one, a prescription. So by far the quickest clinic visit and the cheapest clinic visit you ever have. And it's really convenient for this time of year when you do have a sinus infection or something like that, instead of waiting in an ER waiting room or even in your doctor's waiting room. It's a lot faster. Yeah, there's a question back.
So if they say you need a prescription, does it go into your My Plan thing and you can go figure out where to fill it at then, or how does the prescription work?
They would ask you where you would want it filled. So they would first ask, okay, you're in, say, the Stillwater area, do you want to do Cub or where have you?
Okay.
Yep. There's another question?
Does that $49 count towards deductible?
It sure does. Yep. Good.
But on the 39, or on the two other plans, you don't have to pay $49, correct?
Nope, it's free. Yep.
I'm just gonna say this. I've gone in, because I knew I had a sinus infection, but then they don't give me anything for it. Because they say, and I still pay my 35, or you know what, I have to pay the 35 deductible. So how do they know that if you say you have a sinus infection and you answer the question, I don't think you're going to get a prescription anyway? Because I've gone in with knowing I had a sinus infection, and they wouldn't give me a prescription.
Yep, there's medical kind of safety protocols that they use. So as a standard of care, if you answered the questions and it says, we probably shouldn't give you a medication for this, maybe there's just a treatment plan in place at the onset, then that's all they're due for you. But if they do come back and say, yep, this is something that can be treated with a medication, then they would prescribe it. But there are protocols that they use so that we don't overuse antibiotics, for instance. Right. All right, so we do have the Health Partners, My Health Partners app still available if you do have an iPhone or an Android. What we did on the app is really try to put as much information out there that people click on the most on the website or call member services about. And in fact, you can do those provider searches based on what you want to be seen for with the cost estimates right on the app. You can also do the same thing for the new pharmacy tool if you want to find the best deal on your drugs. Besides that, you can do normal provider searches, see where you are and your deductible, or even pull up your mobile ID card. Because sometimes you go to the doctor's office and maybe you have 2 kids and you don't have their ID cards. You can pull that information right onto your iPhone or Android and show it to your doctor. And of course, they always want the front and the back. You can fax it right to them. So you can do that right from your phone. Now here's a new service. This is something totally new, and this is the Well at Work clinic. If you've been on the lower level of this building, you'll see a big curtain with people working behind it. They're actually building an on-site clinic here for you as employees and your dependents. So this is a clinic that would be staffed by a nurse practitioner, and you would make an appointment just like any other clinic. They would see you right here, and then you can go and fill your prescription or have your condition monitored or anything else like that. This is truly a mini clinic that's built just for you guys and your dependents. This will be opening up in January, and as you can see on this page, it's really there for preventive care. If you have like a chronic disease like diabetes, you can manage that through this clinic. You can treat sinus infections, strep throat, ear infections, additional lab work. It's going to be really cool. We'll have a grand opening in January where you can get more information about it as well. Why are we doing this? What's the point of an on-site clinic? Well, first of all, if you ever have a doctor's appointment, you know that it's not 15 minutes and you're back here. There's time spent in the waiting room, maybe there's some time with the nurse. Really what this clinic is designed to do is really help you not have to spend half a day going picking up your kids and sitting at a clinic, or if it's for yourself. It's really to be more efficient with your time so that you don't have to take half a day off just to go do a clinic visit. And for the cost, as an employee here at Washington County, if you're on, say, the $35 copay plan or the low deductible plan, know that the cost will only be $15. So it would be cheaper than a normal doctor's visit for you. If you're on the high deductible plan, it's just like any other clinic where you would pay the full cost of it, but the cost of that clinic visit will be a lot less than you would at a normal clinic visit. Also, since we're talking about costs, why is the county interested in doing this as well? Well, of course, it's a cheaper place for you to get care, and that helps drive down our medical premiums here at the county. Couple other, yep.
So with that clinic opening up then, so next year, you know how every year they give us
Flu
our
shots
Yep, there's
here?
a,
Will we all just get them at the clinic then?
Some of those logistics haven't been worked out
Oh.
yet. So we, closer to the clinic opening, we'll have more announcements about how things like that work.
So he said that if you're on the copay plan, it's $15, but in the book it says available at no cost to you if you're on the copay plan.
where is the, in the book?
Page 8,
Page 8.
where it says pay less, feel better.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, sorry about that. It looks like it's a misprint in the book. Yeah, it will be $15.
Some of the pieces of the well-up clinic and costs and things will still be worked out as we are printing our materials, so that it's possible that there may need to be a correction to the book.
Yeah. Just like how the clinic's being built, we're still working on some of the details. So, yeah, unfortunately, that's a misprint.
So the only way you get it free is if you call instead of go downstairs.
If you call,
For sinus inspection or something.
yeah, you would go on the website. Yeah, that would be a way to do that. This clinic can do a lot more than just virtual can do, though. Yeah. Who can be seen there? Just a few questions about how the clinic would work. Well, that's open to employees, retirees, and your dependents. If you have a child, they have to be 18 months or older than that. They don't do little babies. You'll be seeing a nurse practitioner at the clinic. We just hired the person. They actually start next week. So they'll start doing training for your clinic next week for an anticipated open of January of 2019.
Can people from the outside come to that clinic?
No, just county employees.
People that are coming here to do their
No.
paying a bill at the clinic or at the county baking.
No, this is just for you guys. Yep. We will have the electronic medical records just like any other clinic. So if you're currently a Stillwater Medical Group or Health Partners Park Nicolay person, your information here will be fed directly into your normal electronic medical record. If you see a different clinic system, you would just need to set up that we would be able to talk between the two systems because of the security that goes in between different systems. And finally, can the county see what happened to me during my clinic visits? Well, really, no. There is a hard line between what the clinic, the information clinics collect, and what the county would see. We don't even use the same IT system, so they wouldn't be able to see anything that happened to you at your clinic visit. The only thing they would see is really high-level stuff about how many people did we see, what kind of conditions are we looking at. So this is a clinic just like any other clinic you would see, protected by the same federal privacy laws. And then the final slide on the on-site clinic of when will we be open? Really, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays will be open from 6 a.m. to 2:30, and then on Tuesdays and Thursdays will be open from 9:30 to 6. That's really trying there to try to accommodate all the different shifts of people that work here at the county. And just like I mentioned before, this is a mini clinic, so you would have an appointment. We'll have phone numbers and a website set up for you guys in the next few months. With that, I'll pass it on to Katie to Further.
All right, good morning. I'm Katie here from Further. I am a new 2U face, unless you were at the HSA Lunch and Learn over the summer, but you'll probably be seeing my face a little bit more over the next few weeks if you come to any of the other sessions. Just as a quick recap, Further is the same company as Select Account. Just over the last spring, we decided to change our name. There was no like merging and buy, sell, etc. So it literally was just a cosmetic name change. So that means that if you have a debit card and it says Select Account, you can absolutely keep that card and continue to use that. If you registered at selectaccount.com, you can use that same login and password at hellofurther.com. In fact, the Select Account website is still live, and if you do go to selectaccount.com, it's just going to automatically route you over to our new website. Okay? All right. So I know a lot of you are pretty savvy with what an HSA is, so bear with me as I give just a quick little recap. It is a savings account that is in your name. So once $1 is put into that account, it is yours to decide if you want to use that for your current medical expenses or if you want to save that for future. Every dollar that's put into that account is rolling over year to year, and it's also earning interest. Okay. We also have investment opportunities available to you. If you're somebody who's interested in possibly seeing a little bit higher return on your HSA dollars, again, anything in that HSA base balance is going to earn that interest rate. But we do have over 35 mutual funds for you to choose from through our investment partner, Charles Schwab. If you are interested in opening an investment account, I do strongly recommend doing a little bit of research. We have full transparency of all of our mutual fund options. We have our year-to-date performance listed on our website. So you'll just go to hellofurther.com and search for investments. You'll be able to pull that up. There's a link under each of our mutual fund options that will bring you to consumer ratings and some other resources available to you to look into those funds. Now, if you're somebody who's like me, who is not exactly the most investment savvy, what I would recommend doing is printing out that listing from our website. And if you have a tax advisor or a financial advisor that you can talk to, bring that list to them and ask them for some recommendations. Okay? Just again, keep in mind with any type of investment, there can be risk, but there can also be some gain. So check in on your investments routinely.
Quick question.
Yes.
Categorization, when you move it from the HSA into the investment account, is that an HSA investment account?
Yeah, yes, that is. So the question was, is that an HSA investment account? And the answer is yes.
So it falls under that categorization for IRS purposes.
Yes, so anything that you earn in investments, any dividends that you earn out there, any returns, that can be transferred back to your HSA balance. It's not something that you can cash out from your investments. It would move back to your HSA account. And any earnings that you earn on investments, and same with that interest rate, those are also tax-free. So those gains are yours to use for your medical, dental, and vision expenses now and in the future. So you can use your HSA account for both yourself, your spouse, and any tax dependents that you have, regardless of their health plan enrollment, okay? So even if you're on a single health plan and you have children or a spouse, you can use that HSA for their expenses, okay? The HSA does have a few eligibility requirements. These are set by the IRS. So first you need to ensure that you are not a dependent on somebody else's taxes. And that is not talking about maybe you have a spouse and you file together or separately, etc. It's most specifically talking to somebody who may be joining the workforce for the first time and your parents are still claiming you on their taxes. So if you find yourself in that situation, unfortunately until that year that you are claiming yourself on your taxes and filing those independently, you would not be eligible to open an HSA account. Okay? The next requirement is that you have no other disqualifying health plan coverage. What that means is maybe you have, for most people it's going to be you have a spouse and they have a health plan coverage through their employer. If they have that health plan coverage and they're not covering you, you're absolutely fine, as long as you don't have any other health plan coverages. If they have a health plan and they are covering you, you're just going to want to ensure that their health plan is also an HSA compliant health plan. Okay? If theirs is an HSA compliant health plan, you can absolutely have double coverages, triple coverages if that's even applicable to anybody, as long as all of your health plan coverages are HSA eligible plans. Okay? Yes, there's a question.
What if you have a spouse who is eligible for Medicare and they're on your house and carrying it on yourself? Are you still eligible for HSA?
So the question was, if you have a spouse who is on Medicare and they're on your health plan, if the HSA account is going to look at you individually as the account holder. It's not going to factor in your spouse's coverage. So as long as you are not enrolled in Medicare, then you would be eligible. Okay? That actually is a really good segue into the third requirement. The third requirement is that you as the HSA account holder are not enrolled in Medicare. And that does include Part A. So when you turn 65, most people are automatically opted into Medicare Part A. That unfortunately would disqualify you from continuing to contribute to an HSA. Now the funds that are in an HSA are never lost. So when you turn 65, if you're on an HSA plan, you would just need to stop contributing to that HSA account at that time. One of the added bonuses though of turning 65 is if you enroll in Part B and Part D of Medicare, your HSA will now cover those premiums. So there is an added perk to turning 65. You just need to stop contributing, but then you'd be able to withdraw from your HSA for those Part D and Part B premiums. Okay? Yes?
Does the contribution amount change or the limit change when you turn 65?
So the question was if the contribution amount changes. So when the year that you turn 65, you would need to prorate your maximum funding amount based on the number of months that you are not on Medicare. So for example, let's say your birthday was July 15th. That means you're turning Medicare eligible July 1st because that eligibility kicks in on the first of the month. You would take your maximum contribution amount, whether that's $3,500 or $7,000, and because you're over 55, you can add $1,000 to that because that's the catch-up contribution. And then because you're eligible for exactly 50% of the year, you would divide that amount in half. So for example, if you were on a single health plan coverage, and in that previous example of turning 65 in July, you would take that $4,500 maximum contribution and divide that by 2. So you'd be at $2,250 for your maximum amount funding that year. That does include your employer funding, so you'll want to subtract that out from your maximum contribution. Okay? Yes?
Just a quick question. So I plan on enrolling in HSA single
Mm-hmm.
2019. If I retire in 2020, does the county still contribute $1,300?
The question was on HSA contribution amount, and that may be dependent on individual contracts.
Contributions to the HSA are for active employees. So once you retire, if you still remain covered on the Washington County plan, you would get another HSA contribution.
Okay.
All right. All right. Does anyone have any other questions on eligibility? All right. Yes.
And if my spouse elects single coverage with his employer and I elect single coverage with my employer, we can each have our own separate HSAs for our high deductible plan.
The question was, if you cover yourself here and not your spouse, and your spouse also has an HSA compliant health plan through their employer and they also elect single, can you both have an HSA? And that answer is yes. You would both be limited to that single funding maximum for each of your HSAs, and if between the two of you, you just cannot go over the family maximum. This year, those numbers do align. In previous years, those numbers have not exactly aligned, but you know, it's easy to do the math this year. So you'd have $3,500 for yourself. Your spouse can also do $3,500, and then if each of you are both over 55, you can both add $1,000 to your maximum. Okay. All right. With the HSA, you can name a beneficiary. We do strongly recommend, even if you've already named your beneficiary in previous years, just like with any other type of account that you can name a beneficiary, it's a really good idea to check those annually. And during open enrollment time, when you're reviewing all of your benefits, it's a really good time to remember to check your beneficiaries as well. Because you may have had a baby in February, or maybe you got married in April, and yes, you've added those people to your health benefits and your dental benefits, but a lot of times that beneficiary change is something that can be overlooked. So it's just a good rule of thumb to check annually on your beneficiaries. Okay. All right, so just a quick recap. The HSA is going to cover all of your medical deductible expenses. If you have any co-insurance expenses, your prescription drugs as well is covered under that deductible. It's also going to cover your dental and vision expenses. That does include orthodontia. It does include LASIK surgery. Okay, so crowns, fillings, you know, any of that dental work, eyeglasses, contacts, all eligible expenses under that HSA. Okay. I'm just going to skip ahead here. So if you do enroll in our investment opportunities, you will get a quarterly statement. I strongly recommend just checking in on them regularly, just because they can fluctuate when the market does fluctuate. So I would recommend checking in a little bit more often than that quarterly, but you will at least get that quarterly statement to see how your investments are performing. Okay. Flipping over real quickly, you still have flexible spending accounts available to you. Medical FSA is currently set to $2,650 at the IRS maximum. One thing to keep in mind electing with that medical FSA is you do have full access to that full election on January 1st. So if you're somebody who has an expense early on in the year, this may be something that you want to think about. But also, if you are enrolled in that HSA plan, your medical FSA is only going to cover dental and vision expenses. So for most people who are electing that HSA plan, maybe you don't need that medical FSA because all of those expenses are eligible under your HSA account. But if we do see two buckets of people who are still having a high adaptation of the medical FSA, those are people who have a child who needs braces, because you can go in January, put up to $2,650 aside into that medical FSA. It is a pre-tax deduction, and it will come equally out of all of your paychecks throughout the year. So by December, you've been made whole on that election amount, but you are front-loaded that full $2,650, so you can go in January and get those braces put on for them. The other bucket of people are those looking at LASIK surgery, because that's also another high expense item. So you can go in January, have that LASIK surgery done, and then again by December you'd be made whole on that election. Okay? Keep in mind that it is a use it or lose it account. So if you are electing a medical FSA, just make sure that you really will utilize those dollars during this next plan year. Okay? Does anyone have questions on medical FSA? All right. I'm going to skip ahead here to the dependent care FSA. This is for your daycare expenses, not for your dependents' medical expenses, just to clarify. You can put up to $5,000 per household aside in a dependent care pre-tax spending account. Again, just like the medical FSA, it is use it or lose it, so ensure that you really are going to utilize the election that you put in that. For most people, daycare can run higher than that $5,000 maximum. Unfortunately, that is an IRS maximum, not employer set. But what we do recommend is if you are somebody who has more than $5,000 in daycare expenses, submit your bills as you're paying them. So you pick up your child from daycare on Friday, submit a bill to Further right away. You can do it right through our app. Super convenient and easy to do. We will be able to reimburse you how much has been withheld from your payroll. So let's say, for example, in January you had $500 in daycare expenses, but you only had about $400 withheld from your payroll. Send us your bill for $500, send us that claim. We will pay up to that $400 that's been deducted from your payroll, and we will, in our systems, we'll track a pending amount for you. So anything over that claim amount, we'll just continue to pend in our systems. For most people, that amount is going to grow as the year goes on. And then by the time you've already submitted $5,000 in receipts, you no longer need to send anything to us. We'll just continue to reimburse you every pay period. Okay? Does anyone have questions on daycare? Otherwise, I'll turn it back over to Brian here. Oops.
Can I ask one question?
Yes.
About the medical FSA? Remind me again if anything carries over into the next year, if you have money left on your account.
There is a $500 carryover, yes. Yes. Yeah. So, but if you have elected $1,000 and you had $1,000 remaining at the end of the year, unfortunately that cap is $500. Okay? All right.
Thanks, Katie. Back on to the Health Partners Voluntary Dental Plan. As you know, on your medical plan, you do have a preventive dental benefit. That's not changing at all. So you can have your cleanings if you just want that on your medical plan benefit. But if you're wondering about additional cleanings or more work being done, like a crown or filling, then you really would want to take a look at the voluntary dental plan. This plan isn't changing from 2018. As you can see, we still have nationwide dental coverage. So if you're here in Stillwater, great. If you have maybe a student that's in Denver or California, that's totally fine too. You'll be able to find dentists nationwide. With our dental plan here, we do have 2 levels of coverage. Level number 1 is Part Dental and Health Partners Dental. So if you are a patient of one of those 2 dental clinics, know that you have a little richer dental benefit. If you're with the rest of our network, you'll see that's level 2. Yes, sir.
In your literature, you state that Park Dental is level 2.
Okay. I heard that from someone else. What literature were you looking at?
Health Partners, so you might want to...
What do you mean? What literature were you looking at, though? Was it in the book, or...?
It was a booklet. This guy right here.
Okay, we'll take a look at that too. It's not changing from last year, so if there was something in there that showed it the other way, it is still level 1 for Park. Yeah. On your voluntary dental plan, you do also still have this Little Partners Dental program. This is for people that have kids that are 12 and under. And really, it covers pretty much everything that you would have when you're, say, 6 years old. So if you need a filling done, it's covered 100%. So why we did this is really try to remove any financial barrier that you have for getting your kids in to get your dental care done for them. So if they're on your dental plan today, know that you wouldn't have to pay for any of their services up until their age, well, 13, basically. If you are currently diabetic or pregnant, also know that you can get up to 4 cleanings per year. As a company that owns hospitals and clinics, we know how important overall dental hygiene is. So people that are diabetic or pregnant get extra cleanings to help manage those conditions. And with that, we are moving on to IMED. Are there any questions about the dental plan before we move on, though? Great. Thank you, everyone.
Good morning. I will be really quickly. I just got 2 things to go over. I'm Sherry with NFP. And just to review your vision and your disability and life plans. Your vision plan is a voluntary plan offered through IMED, and there are no changes to this year. So now is the time to enroll if you haven't enrolled in the past and you would like to. You can do that at open enrollment. The premiums are going to stay the same. All the benefits will stay the same. And you have a sheet out front that gives you detail about that plan. Any questions on that plan at all? All right, and then also just to review your life and disability insurance, again, no changes to these plans. Remember, your employer offers you long-term disability insurance as well as a base life insurance plan.
You have the opportunity at this time at open enrollment to purchase additional life insurance for you, yourself, and your spouse and your dependents. If you are doing so for the first time or increasing your amount, you would be subject to evidence of insurability. You also have a voluntary short-term disability plan that's available to you. If you're currently enrolled at open enrollment, you can increase your enrollment up $100 without completing a questionnaire. If you are enrolling for the first time as an existing hire, you would need to complete an evidence of insurability and questionnaire. And this is the life and disability enrollment are going to be the ones that are at the later date and optional. The medical, dental, all end on, just to kind of recap, the phase 1 goes from November 1st through November 13th. And that's going to be for your medical, dental, vision, HSA, FSA medical, and dependent care. It's mandatory you go into the new system and complete that enrollment. However, on phase 2, that's optional. That'll be from the 14th through the 26th, and that'll only be if you want to make changes to your voluntary life insurance or your voluntary disability. If you don't want to make any changes, that existing election will roll over to the new year.
Can we address the phase 2 before the 14th?
Katie, Becky, no. Can we address the question was, could we address phase 2 before November 14th? And the answer to that is no, you cannot.
How do you mean address?
Change beneficiaries?
Oh.
You can change your beneficiaries at any time. And the paperwork, the EOI forms for phase 2, you can complete those ahead of time and submit them ahead of time. It's the actual open enrollment link itself will be up until November 14th.
Okay. Other questions? That is a wrap up for today, but we are all around. If you have individual questions you'd like to speak with any, Katie, you have something you want to wrap up with?
I'm going to make a quick couple announcements.
So as I've been darting in and out during the meeting today, what I've been doing is checking on things that people are encountering with the HSA form or the open enrollment forms. And so I want to quick call your attention to one question that our phones are ringing off the hook about. When you go to enroll in the HSA through the employee self-service, if you are trying to enroll and have zero contribution, it's not going to let you go further. If you want to enroll in the HSA plan and you only want the employer contribution, go ahead and enter in your amount of deduction as $1 and just email me and I'll go back in and zero it out. That way you'll be able to complete the form. There's something that's not letting people get past that part of the form. So I don't want you to encounter that.
That's only for the HSA.
That's only for the HSA. Yep. So if you're not enrolling in the HSA, you're not even going to encounter it. But I'm hoping we've got lots of HSA participants, so I'm going to go ahead and tell you what to do.
I have a child turning 26 in March.
Yes.
Is he covered for the whole year or only up until March, or is he not covered at all?
He'll be covered up until his birthday. So at the end of March, he'll be removed from our plan, and then he'll be offered COBRA coverage. So if he doesn't have another medical plan option, he'll be offered COBRA continuation. Yes, exactly.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Thanks, everyone.